Reverend Marcia Sutton and Reverend Lloyd Strom. And my favorite time was always our days of silence, because I didn't have to look out there at all. Didn't have to talk to people. I didn't even have to be aware of anyone else. I just got to go inside. And I still value my time with myself so much. So some of us value silence. So John and Joe were fishing and they were guzzling beer when all of a sudden Joe said, "You know, I think I'm going to divorce my wife. She has not talked to me in 6 months." John kind of sipped in his beer and he said, "You know, you better think that over. Women like that are hard to find." Okay, enough of that. So what do you think of?
Why are you laughing?
So what do you think of when I talk about feminine qualities and feminine traits? What do you think of?
Caring.
Caring? Just kind of be with that. What comes to mind for you? Compassion?
Yeah.
Nurturing?
Possibilities of a better world.
Yes. Opens up everything, doesn't it? Because it's open, not closed. Very nice. Supportive and soft and giving, accepting, and kind of on and on and on. So let's just kind of be with that for a minute. How do you identify feminine traits? I don't mean being effeminate or being girly, although I like to be girly sometimes. Feminine traits beyond, deeper than whether we wear ruffles or not, or shawls or not. What about feminine traits in you?
Wisdom.
Yes. The wisdom that comes from that small, still voice. How do you express your feminine qualities? I smile a lot, and to me, that is a feminine quality of being accepting and saying hi to everyone. Mike and I were recently in Japan, and we walked down the streets, and of course, I don't know anyone there, but people just bow their heads all the time. It is, and so I started doing that as well, as just a sign of hello and respect. Maybe being humble and gentle. When I think of feminine, I thought of this quote right away from Ephesians 4:2-3. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Be humble and gentle, not just with people who are nice to you, not just in situations where you're comfortable. There's no caveats to this. Be humble and gentle. You know, there are so many females and feminine spirits and female spirits to admire, heroes that are smart and capable and intuitive. It's another word, intuitive. And I'm going to say, here are two of my very favorite females. The one is Meemaw. I don't know if you know her from The Big Bang Theory, although she was deceased by the time that timeline rolled around. But young Sheldon has her on almost every episode. And she is Sheldon Cooper, his grandma, and he calls her Meemaw. Well, let me tell you, there is one experience that Meemaw had that I just try to emulate regularly, and this is it. So she was at this big gathering with her boyfriend, who I can't remember his name, but he used to play coach on Coach. And his ex-wife was there. Now, Meemaw and the ex-wife get along fine. But for some reason, Meemaw was just sitting there doing what she was doing, drinking her beer and eating her nuts. And her boyfriend and his ex-wife started to fight and shout at each other. And they were not very nice. And Meemaw, I fully expected her to get up and grab his arm and say, let's go, you're being a bully, right? So what does she do? She grabs her beer and her nuts, and she goes over and she sits at the closest table to them. She was just watching, sipping beer and eating nuts. That reminded me of the phrase, not my circus, not my monkey. I am so inspired by that. She didn't jump in to the fray. She just said, oh, you guys go on. I'm just going to sit right here and drink my beer. And to me, that is so inspiring because as daughters and wives and friends and enemies, we want to fix things, don't we? Like the magnet, we want to pick things up. We want to stop the fighting, the bickering. Sometimes, though, that crosses the line into enabling, doesn't it? And that is a fine line sometimes. Do you enable someone in their behavior? Do you step in? Do you? So that's where our intuition comes in, because sometimes the healthiest action is to step back. Is this my circus? Is this my monkey? Is this my drama to step into? Or am I taking on somebody else's story? Goodness knows I have enough of my own. I really don't need yours. Sometimes I take it on anyway, right? There is a fine line. Ooh, money. A fine line between inserting yourself and just letting it play out, right? Your job, my job, our job is to be love in the world, to hold the high watch. That is our job. That is what we're here for, to be love. Many, probably 40 years ago or more, I was at a workshop at the Portland Church of Religious Science, and my friend Jan Carruthers was leading it. And I was fairly new to religious science. And Jan said, she took us through this exercise where we got quiet and closed our eyes and said, just listen to that voice in you. What is your purpose in life? What are you here to do or to be? And so I sat there, and what came to me is to be love. And I thought, what does that even mean? Of course I'm loving. I mean, I was so new to this, I did not even know how profound that is. And here it is 45 years later, and I'm still remembering that my guidance was to be love. And it's not quite so simple as I thought, right? I read a quote recently that said, love everyone and everything. Life is as simple and as difficult as that, right? Love everyone and everything. Oh, sure, I'll do that. Yeah. How about your neighbor? How about the politicians? Do we really love everyone and everything? Be love. So thank you, Meemaw, for being strong and for being joyful and for being a model mother and grandmother. I just remember that. Just enjoy your beer and your nuts and let others be the stars of their own drama. And this is the other female I admire. And some of you may be familiar with Meemaw. Know that you are familiar with Ishka. Ishka is better known to Trekkies like me and Phil as Moogie. And she is a female Ferengi. She is mother of Quark and Rom, and she's in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Now, I could have picked people like Angelou Maya. I could have picked so many other females, but you know, these are the ones that speak to me. Meemaw and Mugi. This is what's written about Mugi, and see if this resonates with you as being a strong feminine essence in the world. The most significant female Ferengi in Star Trek DS9 is Quark and Rom's mom, Ishka, who is a trailblazing Ferengi feminist who stands up for her own intelligence and business savvy by daring to make her own prophet, which prophet the Ferengi worship prophet. And females cannot make profit. They cannot be involved in business decisions. Yeah. Forbidden. Not only that, but females cannot wear clothes. And Moogie wears clothes. Her sons are so embarrassed by her. And then when the Grand Nagus, who with his walking stick, he rules Ferengi, he takes a romantic interest in Moogie, even though she wears clothes. And so she starts to influence Ferengi culture and leads it away from being so misogynistic. She is so powerful while being so gentle yet firm. This says she embodies so many Star Trek ideals on her own. She isn't afraid to be honest about her progressive politics, and she still cares deeply for others. You see that balance? She supports Quark's choice to be a more Ferengi traditionalist. Profit is all for him. He owns Quark's bar, which, if you went to Las Vegas several years ago, the Las Vegas Hilton had a really huge, and I mean huge, Deep Space Nine experience. And I won't talk about the experience, but there was a Quark's bar that we had lunch at many times. There was a Moogie's trading post where I bought many things. So Quark is embarrassed that he has to literally pay the price for his mother's transgressions against Ferengi society because she is fined so many times for wearing clothes, for making profit, for speaking out, and being a son and a male, he has to pay it. So she just keeps speaking out. Why not? She is not afraid to be who she is. Feminine, yet strong. Gentle and smiling while not giving in to the masculine cultural pressures. My hero. She stands firm in the midst of the swirling drama that others create based on her behavior, right? I will tell you, in my later years, as I got a bit older, and when I was, especially when I was out in the working world, the 8 to 5 world, when we actually used to go into the office from 8 to 5, that was a long time ago, I guess. There were many, many, many people, and I will say they were mostly men, who told me that I was much too nice, that I would never progress very far because I was just too nice. I was just smiling all the time. And my response, I learned over time, rather than take offense, what I would say is, thank you for sharing. Thanks so much for sharing your opinion with me. And sometimes, if I wanted to kind of step back with my beer and beer nuts and watch their head explode, I would say, thank you, I'll take that as a compliment. And of course, what? I didn't mean that as a compliment. How you meant it and how I take it are two different things. We can stand in our own power and still be soft and nurturing. Sometimes we also follow our intuition, which is also dubbed as a feminine aspect, right? Intuition. Sometimes by following our intuition, we seem to be swimming upstream. right? Going against the current sometimes. Here's a quote by Robert Brault. So often in life, a new chapter awaits. You ride off into the sunset and discover it's a sunrise. Do we do that? Or think we're ending something when really we're beginning something fabulous and magical? So I would say let go of the shoulds and listen to that small, still voice, your intuition. It's okay to be kind and loving and caring, even when others seem to be maybe hardening in this environment, right? The more you hear, the angrier you get and the harder. And oh, not my circus, not my monkey. It will play out. I get to be me and be love. Not my circus, not my monkey. Love is patient. Love is kind. As we heard this morning in the Daily Word, love never fails. Winnie the Pooh also is another fabulous inspiration for me. Winnie the Pooh reminds us that we are never stuck. Sometimes we feel stuck. We are never, ever stuck. May feel like you are, you're not. This is what Winnie says. I always get to where I'm going by walking away from where I've been. I always get to where I'm going by walking away from where I've been. We're not stuck. We just need to walk away from where we've been. Takes courage. I would say embrace your feminine. Be willing to be soft and gentler, compassionate and joyful and kind and tender. And when we are comfortable with both our feminine and our masculine selves, we are in balance, we are in alignment, and grace flows so easily. We are in alignment with love. That's how it is. That's how life works. We'll explore that next month as we celebrate Father's Day. And not all of us are fathers either. I'm not. And we'll talk next month about the integration of our masculine and our feminine. Because in truth, these two energies that look like two energies merge seamlessly. They intertwine and they integrate as wholeness. Whole, perfect, complete, nothing missing, nothing broken. Next month, I believe I will be joining you via Zoom on the second Sunday. Instead of being here in person on the first Sunday, because I'll be traveling a bit next month. So listen to your intuition, remembering as we move into our time of meditation right now. That was the cue. The words of Christine Waltner's Paintner. Let the divine name echo in the sanctuary of your heart, the place where the spark of God dwells within each of us. With each inhale, invite this sacred presence to be more fully in you. And with each exhale, seek guidance from this divine indwelling.
The chorus on this is very easy. It just consists of the word phrase Om Shanti Om. I think you'll pick it up right away. Still my mind, be at peace in my awakening. I really with my heart, free my soul. In my awakening, I am whole. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. As I love and as I give in my awakening, choose to live. Give me strength, shine your light in my awakening. Be with me tonight. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. All I believe, and all I know, in my awakening, I let go. Fill me with hope. Conquer my fear in my awakening. My peace is here. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om.
And as we settle back in our chairs and close our eyes,